Good evening, dear past residents, council members, members of the ISL, family members of late Dr. Engineer Wijewardene, special invitees and guests and ISL staff. You all are welcome to Engineer Dr. Wijewardene Memorial Oration. I request you to kindly rise up for the presidential procession. Thank you very much. As per the agenda, first of all, we have to light up the traditional oil lamp. I cordially invite following dignitaries to light up the traditional oil lamp. Engineer Professor Ranjit Disanayake, President-elect of the ISL. Two past presidents, Engineer Chula de Silva and Engineer Shavindranath Fernando. Engineer Professor Malik Ranasinghe, Chairman, Wijewardene Charitable Trust. Our speaker today, Mrs. Lakshmini Vijayasundara, a family member of Engineer Dr. Wijewardene. Engineer M.D. Hemachandra, Chairman, Agricultural and Plantation Engineering Sectional Committee, and myself. Thank you very much. Kindly remain standing. Now I respectfully invite our President-elect, Professor Ranjit Disanayake, to garland the statue of Dr. Wijewardene. Thank you very much. Kindly be seated. Let me invite the following dignitaries to the stage. Engineer Professor Ranjit Disanayake, President-elect. Engineer Professor Malik Ranasinghe, Chairman, Wijewardene Charitable Trust. Our speaker today, Mrs. Lakmini Wijewardene and Engineer M.G. Hemachandra, Chairman Agricultural and Plantation Engineering Section Committee. Kindly. Thank you very much. And as per our next item, as per the agenda, is a welcome address. I cordially invite Engineer Professor Ranjit Disanayaka, President-elect of the ISL, to deliver the welcome speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Engineer Neil. Engineer Professor Malik Ranasinghe, Shaman Ray Wijewardene Charitable Trust, Mrs. Lakmini Wijewardene, Founder and Executive Director at the Board Pact, also the speaker today, the Engineer M.D. Hemachandra, Chairman Agriculture and Plantation Engineering Sectional Committee, Council members, past President of the Institute, family members of the Dr. Engineer Ray Wijewardene, members of the Institute, Engineer Neil Abbesekara, Chief Executive Officer, and the staff members of the Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As we gathered here to pay the tribute to the remarkable life and legacy of the true exceptional individual, Engineer Dr. Ray Wijewardene. Today, we come together not only to remember the life of the great engineer, innovator, and the visionary, but also celebrate the lasting impact of Dr. Ray Wijewardene had on our world. His contribution to go beyond the boundaries and inspire the generation to think beyond the ordinary, to dream big in the face of challenges. First, let me warmly welcome Engineer Professor Malik Ranasinghe, Chairman of the Ray Wijewardene Charitable Trust. This is the memorable oration we held in the memory of the late Dr. Wijewardene, and we have always organized this event jointly with the Ray Wijewardene Charitable Trust. And your presence here is a strength to us. Mrs. Lakmini Wijewardene, founder and the executive director of the Board Pact. Also, our speaker today. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to deliver this memorial lecture. Past President, Council members, I welcome all of you to the this memorial lecture. As a family members of the Dr. Wijewardene, your presence is a great honor. Dr. Wijewardene, also known as a visionary leader of the Sri Lanka, and upon whom in 2008 ISL confirmed it is highest award of the eminent in engineering excellence in the profession, whose here we are today 90th birthday anniversary are commending need little introduction. So let me introduce the Dr. Wijewardene. He was born in Colombo, Ceylon, 20th August 1924. His primary and secondary education in the Ladies College, Colombo, and St. Thomas College, Mount Lavinia. He proceeded to the Penthouse, London, Cambridge University, UK, where he studied the three branches of engineering: aeronautical and mechanical and agriculture. He also earned the qualification in the business administration from the Harvard Business School. Later, he received the honorary doctorate degree from the universities in the UK as well as in Sri Lanka. Well known is twin passions in agriculture machineries and aerodynamic applications. His interest in the tropical farming in the particular led to a design of the two-wheel tractor in 1955. The invention changed the scope of farming, was soon a mass production by the Landmaster in Nottingham, UK. Dr. A. Wijewardene dedicated his rest of his life to research and promoting ecologically sustainable agriculture and later renewable energy technology. As the World Authority Tropical Farming System, Ray Wijewardene worked in the UN Food and Agriculture Organization in early 1970s. As head of Agriculture Engineering and Mechanization, Automation Research Center, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He then spent nearly 5 years as a head agriculture engineer and research at the National Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Nigeria. During this time, he did many improvement and innovation, helped small farming in the developing world grow more foods without high extensive input. That is what we really need today. In particular, is promoted the technique called slope in agriculture land technique, originally which was developed in Philippines, later it was adapted and developed for the sustainability. His return into Sri Lanka in 1918, he continued the experience experimenting with the rain-fed farming and the agroforestry. In his account, in his state, in northern western province. He also did field tests for the dendrothermal power and the electric generation from the firewood. His technology is now increasingly being used by the industry today. For the decades, Dr. Ray Wijewardene worked closely with the Sri Lankan businessmen, researchers, policy-making communities. He had various appointments to his credit as a chairman of the Tea Research Board, head of the Innovation Commission, and the member of the several public sector bodies concerned with agriculture, science and technology. He was the once a chancellor, University of Morocco, from 2002 to 2007. Government of Sri Lanka awarded him with the highest national honor of Vidya Jyoti and the Desha Mani for his distinguished public service. Today we are gathered to remember the Dr. A. Wijewardene. Let also draw inspiration from his life to work. Let remember that even in the face of difficulty as we face today, with the determination and vision for the better world, we can achieve the greatness. Let his legacy remind us that every one of us has power to make the positive difference in the world. I would like to welcome you all to join with honoring this memory of the engineer Dr. A. Wijewardene. His legacy will continue to inspire all of us. His contribution will be forever remembered. Thank you. I wish you may carry forward this inspiration, innovation, and compassion, dedication for the better future of all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now, sorry, I have forgotten to welcome our online participants. This event is happening on live, so most of members and others are taking part in this event locally and outside as well as well. Now, the time to introduce our speaker today. For that, I cordially invite Engineer Professor Malik Ranasinghe, Chairman, Ray Wijewardene Charitable Trust. Over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. President-elect IESL, past presidents of IESL, members of the council, Ms. Lakmini Vijayasundara, members of the late Dr. Wijewardene family, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. My task this evening is to introduce our invited speaker, Ms. Lakmini Vijayasundara, founder and executive director of Boardpack Incorporated for the 10th annual Dr. Wijewardene Memorial Lecture. I consider it a privilege and do so with great pleasure. Lakmini is the first female orator to deliver the Wijewardene Memorial Lecture. It took us 10 years to find the ideal candidate. Lakmini calls herself a tech entrepreneur. She is much more than that. Those of you didn't know, she is an electronics and computer engineering graduate from the University College London. In addition, she has MSc in communication and signal processing from Imperial College London. From the time she started her first venture from her home with a group of colleagues, she has been a great inventor and innovator. That is what the Wijewardene Charitable Trust looks for in our invited speakers. Her story, which we will hear shortly, is a result of that excellent creative and innovative mind. I'm sure that Dr. Wijewardene would be very pleased that a close relative of his, was selected on merit to be the first female orator for the annual Wijewardene lecture. Among the many accolades Lakmini has received, Ernst & Young EY winning woman in 2017 and the SARC Woman Entrepreneur of the Year stand out as both recognize her innovation abilities and entrepreneurial acumen. Any of you who have used the Boardpack would appreciate the amount of thinking, planning, research and development that has gone into developing a truly world-class product. As soon as I assumed duties as chairman of the ICTA, Lakmini offered her product, the Boardpack, to be used free of charge in all government institutions, provided ICTA agreed to manage the process. So today, several state universities and government institutions, including ICTA, are using Boardpack on their concession returns. Middle of next month, Sri Lanka will host the second Digital Investment Summit as a part of President's DigiCon initiative, where we will try to match both international and local investors with our startups with the objective of developing the first unicorn in the ICT sector. Unicorn is a privately owned startup business with a valuation above $1 billion. We target companies like Lakmini's Boardpack to see who will succeed in becoming the first unicorn in Sri Lanka. I'm proud to note that Lakmini's Boardpack Incorporated is one of the front runners. The Wijewardene Charitable Trust, which is hosting Ms. Lakmini Vijayasundara as its part of the jointly organized Dr. Wijewardene Memorial Lecture with IESL, is a trust set up to promote and sustain the vision and ideas of the legend that is Wijewardene. The trust aims to recognize and support innovations in general, focus on sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, engineering and aeronautics, the disciplines and pursuits that were close to Dr. Wijewardene's heart for over a half century. I can assure you the company's story, globalizing Sri Lankan technology, the Boardpack story, will certainly capture the innovative spirit Dr. Wijewardene is known for and remembered for. I take great pleasure in inviting Lakmini Vijayasundara to deliver the 10th annual Dr. Wijewardene Memorial Lecture 2023 to this distinguished audience.
Professor Ranjit Disanayake, President-elect of IESL, Professor Malikram Singh, Chairman Ray Wijewardene Charitable Trust, family members of Dr. Ray Wijewardene, Engineer M.G. Hemachandra, Chairman, Agriculture and Plantation Engineering Sectional Committee IESL, Engineer Neil Abesekara, Chief Executive Officer and Executive Secretary of the President of the Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, distinguished invitees and guests. It is my great honor to be the presenter of this 10th Dr. Ray Wijewardene Memorial Oration 2023 and to be the first female orator. I wish to specially express my appreciation to the organizers of this event, Dr. Ray Wijewardene Charitable Trust and the IESL for extending this valued invitation. Before I start on the globalizing of technology story, I would like to take a few moments to pay tribute to Dr. Ray Wijewardene. And so here I would like to say Dr. Ray Wijewardene is and always will be the engineer legend, even more so in the context of the present time. And this is beyond engineering through his innovation and visionary mindset. So I would like to quote Nikola Tesla has said that the scientific man does not aim to an immediate result. He does not expect but his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His work is like that of a planter for the future. His duty is to lay the foundation for those who are to come and point the way. This quote by Nikola Tesla emphasizes the long-term vision and the dedication required in engineering and scientific pursuits, highlighting the importance of laying the groundwork and foundation for generations. I think it's a tribute to Dr. Ray Wijewardene, whose ideas and innovations, I think in some way, haven't even been understood, even today, considering the most important aspects of sustainability and agriculture. So, I actually found some very interesting quotes directly from Dr. Ray Wijewardene in a Sri Lanka Rupavahini interview. I'd just like to mention this because it's very, very important or aligned with the story I'm going to talk about with BOGTAC and the globalization. And you find it humorous and interesting because it just shows the passion of Dr. Ray Wijewardene even at the age of 7. So one of it, and some of you may already know it, but some of you may not. So I really like to talk about it. So here he says, I was 7 years and I was having a picture of a parachute and was mad keen about flying. There was an almsgiving at my grandmother's home in Kolupidia. And I saw the umbrellas outside. I mean, these are his own words. And I took the umbrellas and I went up to the top floor, opened them up all, and jumped off the balcony. The umbrellas broke and I crashed into the flower bed. The almsgiving was all upset. I got a whacking from my father, but I was thrilled. It was the first time I had flown an actual flight. So this interview, you can actually see it on his material, and I'm not doing justice to it. I think the passion just flew out. So this is how passionately he describes in 1985 at the Rupavahini interview, and these were the early signs of how passionate he was in engineering and science. So with a visionary move, Dr. Ray, after he came back from UK in Cambridge, he did the designs. And while a lot of people do designs, I mean, we all, I think there are lots of engineers here who know that they've done a lot of work in design. But what's visionary and strategic is Dr. Wijewardene took the designs to Britain and they agreed to market it worldwide. The biggest market was Japan. It went to Malaysia, India, Pakistan, Philippines, southern China, and all over the States, Australia, South America, Africa. I mean, I was proud of what I did. And in this age, I was thinking, wow, the Sri Lankan doing this. But after hearing this, oh my gosh, I mean, it's like he's done it then in the 50s. So it's just incredible. And I'm so proud that I am a relative of his, and I'm so proud. So to this day, the two-wheel tractors are referred to as Landmaster tractors, and I'm sure even young people have heard this, the Landmaster tractor. It's like the Xerox. It's a brand he created. It's just incredible. Another aspect I'd like to just mention is he built light aircrafts with by using motor car engines. I mean, just the innovation, just putting things together, so pragmatic. So it's kind of amazing, a lot of the things he did. And he said degrees are okay, they help, but ultimately the employable, what is employable is your skill. Your skill, you learn skills from people who are masters. Jeffrey de Havilland, a master in aircraft design. Harry Ferguson, master in tractor design. So I think these are learnings really. I mean, I myself, doing this research learn, it's really true. It's not what you learn. It's really who you meet. And sometimes you miss it because you're learning so much and theoretically. So this is amazing. And I mean, I'm talking about aviation, but he was a master in everything really. And that's very rare too, because you get a person who excels in one thing, barely excels in one thing actually, lots of people, but he excels in so many things. So agriculture, green biomass energy, and he says we can produce our electricity not just by hydro, but growing the trees to produce steam power fuel, and this is like decades ago really. So I'd also like to just, before I end this, mention a little anecdote from my mother, who always looked up to Dr. Ray Wijewardene, who was a cousin, and frequently described how his estates, because there were coconut and all sorts of estates, how we completely created benchmarks like automated irrigation, efficiency applied, and I think even up to today, the benchmark of Dr. Ray's estates are in the coconut plantation industry, and I'm sure those of you who are in plantation know this because that's like a stellar place that everybody was asked to look at excellence. So another quite an interesting phrase that I want to pick up, and I'll talk about it over and over, I think, is something that he says, everybody makes mistakes, doesn't matter. You accept you made the mistake, and let's put it right. And he said, I learned it the hard way. I mean, that's like such an important thing for everyone, because failure is, the more you fail is more likely that you've succeeded. Like people who say, oh, I never fail, probably they never tried anything. So that's a really important one. And I do have to mention that his loving wife, who's 99 years of age, and his amazingly talented three daughters, Anuma, Roshi, Mandy, and his grandchildren, I think they must be making him really proud because they've achieved great strides. Anuma being a world-renowned global artist, painter, Mandy, Francesca Rehan, and I see all of them really here in the entertainment arts fields and winning global awards and things. So, I mean, really proud that the legacy goes on. And finally, just a couple of words, just to say, we've talked about all these scientific things and about his engineering, but interestingly, he's also an Olympic athlete. So I'm sure some of you know this, and he's been to the Olympics as well. So I mean, kudos. I mean, such a proud moment to be here at his oration. So getting on to the oration itself, I've broken it down into like 4 topics. Board pack today, so that those of you who don't really know what board pack is understands what I'm talking about this journey. And also, why is it important for Sri Lanka? Why is tech or globalization important? I mean, it's a hot topic, but why? The board pack journey and crafting the future. So I'd like to start with a question really. Are you aware of a Sri Lankan technology company that has achieved global recognition, serving Fortune ranked giants, Forbes Global 2000 companies, over 40 countries? I mean, completely built in Sri Lanka. So some of you who are in the same technology field have heard this over and over again, but I see lots of faces from different industries, different professions. So it's quite interesting, and I'm so proud to talk about it and keep the Sri Lankan wider audience aware that yes, so BoardPack actually has achieved it. And I believe, I mean, my team is also here. They know, and I know that this is not the final point. We have a long way to go. And as of now, the incredible journey goes across from United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Singapore, Malaysia, many countries like Indonesia, and even remote places like Papua New Guinea. We've never gone there, but we get viral calls for adoption. Here are some of the companies. I mean, all of the companies. I put these 1,000 companies onto a slide. They would all be as large as this. So this prestigious roster of board-back clientele includes Mercedes-Benz. This is not just Demo. This is Mercedes-Benz in Germany, Ernst & Young Global, Petronas. That's the largest oil and gas company and the 10th largest company in the world. OCBC, Bank of Singapore, believe it or not, Reserve Bank of India, the Central Bank of India, uses Sri Lankan technology. Bombay Stock Exchange, Central Bank of Malaysia, stock exchanges of Malaysia, top banks like Maybank, and I mean, the list goes on because I cannot even prioritize them because they're all this large. So these are not ordinary companies, these are just extremely large ones. And I've also kept this slide just to sort of drive the message across. This is not HR people or anyone in that company, these are the chairmen. So our product is actually used by the governor of the central bank and 200 of their top officials. Uday Kotak uses it, the Kotak Mahindra founder. Sachin Das, Reserve Bank Governor, Asiata Group, I mean, all these, whether it's Deloitte, in all of these, it's the top 10 people, and in some cases, I think Malaysia, Kazana, even the Prime Minister uses it. And the most interesting thing is our whole Sri Lankan team plus our multinational team gets to meet these people. I see, some of my team members like Haridu, I remember, he's just like friends with them. So this is like incredible networking. And I want to sort of show the Sri Lanka. So all of Sri Lanka, actually we got here because Sri Lanka supported us. So the top L&D companies, I mean, you know who these people are, and Professor Malik is in there as well, from Sampat and many other places. So all the top officials actually use BoardPack in their respective organizations. So this also brought us to, because of all these achievements that we did, there were so many awards like locally, whether it's Women's Chamber or SAP or Export Awards. So they all helped, and thereafter we went on and got lots of global awards. So in fact, even today, we are receiving a little while after this, we're receiving Asia's Best, we're in the top 100. So we're going to go and pick up that award. So that's out here, and so many others from different countries. And as I mentioned, I mean, the Sri Lankan team is there, but we've grown. So it's a multinational team. And that's something I'd really like to advocate to Sri Lankans because we are a small country. And if we're going to do big things, we cannot just do it with just Sri Lankans. And the world is out there. There are clients as well. So pretty much this team that we call BoatNet is a multinational team now across 6 countries. And the plan is to keep growing that. So here we see, from Vodacom to different countries, the teams are in this. So I'm now moving on to the next topic, which is, I suppose, why is it so important? What is this topic all about? Like, why does it even matter? Right? That so it, thinking it's not so evident to us in Sri Lanka. It might not we might not even contemplate because for decades, centuries, we have not had much progress. So we're thinking, would it be that bad to go on like this? I mean, we are doing okay. We're not, with a bit of salt there, but we're doing okay. So I pretty much say the answer is no, and I'll tell you why. So those in the IT industry know that we are in the fourth industrial revolution. I'm sure that all of you know that the world went through like the first industrial, second, and third. So the first was steam power. Sri Lanka had no chance. And just to let you know why is it so important? There are early adapters and there are laggards. So the early adopters pretty much get a chance to leapfrog and become developed countries because their ability to compete becomes much better. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not. But the fact is that when there are industrial revolutions, if we miss it, we're gonna go way lower in terms of economy, and we won't even know it. So the first obviously was steam power, which the Western world got, electricity, and then even the digital transformation, computing, which was before this. Uh, at that time, I think infrastructure wasn't quite ready. But today, if you take it, our internet, even to rural areas, I mean, of course, it can improve, but to a great extent, the education, there's so much. I mean, the phone, the mobile, the percentages, market share that we have. So all this is available for us. Of course, we have to uh, make a definite plan explicitly to take advantage of it. But this fourth industrial revolution, which has been coined in 2016 by Mr. Klaus Schwab at the Davos World Economic Forum, pretty much set the stage. So there are so many countries already working on it. And just for those of you who are wondering what this is all about, it really focuses on a couple of technologies which we've heard of, like artificial intelligence, IoT, etc. And I'm really glad to say that as a country, we have expressed that we will become early adopter. Now, the execution of that is not just left to the government, we all have to do it. But I mean, I'm glad to say that our president has made that statement. And there's activities going. I think Professor Malik also is involved. So AI, out of that list, AI is quite an interesting, important one. So Sri Lanka can leapfrog to a developed nation. I mean, all of us must be thinking it's not going to happen. We've been not a developed nation forever. It's probably going to be the same. But here, what I'm saying is, because we are in the fourth industrial revolution, it's a chance. Either we miss it or we take it. I'm also not saying that this is the only way. This is one key pillar. There are obviously other pillars too, but this pillar could be quite important. And it's a pillar that we can capture because we have the youth, we have the education, we have the internet, So it's kind of a rush to get it steered in. And that's what I'd like to say. So the presidential task force is already in place. It's just started. Glad to say the curriculums for children will start coming in. And in this moment, these are actually some pictures taken of the Port City vision. I mean, really, I mean, it's a mission. I mean, can you imagine Sri Lanka as a developed nation? Smart cities. I mean, these are really, these pictures actually are things happening in China and some other places where there are buses and public transport. I mean, this is not the only thing, but the whole gamut of things. It can happen for us. And as I mentioned, the curriculum has started, which is great because that gives a good start to the youth. It's obviously next year, but it has started to be identified. And I'm also glad to say, in terms of the globalization, Sri, like as Professor Malik mentioned, Boatpack is one of the leaders. Let's say we worked for quite a while, we worked quite hard, and it's grown. But there are 600 such startups or more, I think. The 1,000 startup goal that ICTA, Slascom, and some of the others got together and did. Actually, this is ICTA drive mostly. And there's so many startups. So it is quite important that the public of Sri Lanka know that there's all this happening. And if we do it right, and if we support these, we can make a difference to Sri Lanka. So that is why it's so important. And that is also why I stand here and I am talking about it because it's quite important. As you can see, Sri Lanka is almost not in the map here. If you talk about the GDP, and the growth has happened. And the prediction, now we can take a look at the actuals. From 2015 onwards, the growth has accelerated as well. So here, if you talk about, if you think about Dr. Ray Wijewardene and what he said, we have to accept, we have to fix it, and try it. So that's the way to succeed. It's not about looking at the past. There's no point. So really, from today onwards or this year, it's something for Sri Lanka to do. And that brings me to the start of my journey and how I got to Boatpack. And as you can see, these pictures are pulled out of some old album. So it needs to be better kept. So here, this is the garage, and you'll see my mother, brother, and a couple of well-wishers there. So it was very important that entrepreneurs had support. Like if their parents and family didn't support them, because it is risky, there's no guarantee of any kind of reward for the horizon, really. And I'm sure Dr. Ray Wijewardana's family knows this, how difficult and how tiring it is to get across ideas and change mindset, because you have to keep changing. If you don't change mindset, you're probably not doing something interesting. Because if it's going along with everybody nodding their head, probably done before. So in that sense, it's interesting, and that is, I think, why us entrepreneurs and engineers do this. So I'd like to also mention. So I started out on this. I stumbled upon this because I like maths. There was hardly any math students in school. So there were 4 A-level math students out of 90. Mostly one-third were bio, etc. And thereafter, I went to University College and Imperial, continued the studies, but I came back. And the first thing I did was, obviously, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I wanted to do something important. But soon after coming from university, I would say I was a young person who didn't quite know what I wanted. I was curious. So at that time, the chairman, I believe he was quite visionary, and he wanted to make the whole of Sri Lanka uh, internet accessible. And the theme was a man in Delhi at the Kandya should be able to access internet. So the only accessible quick technology at that time was VSAT. That is a satellite-based technology. And I think we all know that satellite-based technology is not cheap. So the whole business mechanism, the financial planning wasn't quite there on that. But the concept, the concept was brilliant because now we do have it with other technologies, but this is a couple of decades after. After that, I mean, from that I learned how to set up a startup. Of course, it was a funded startup. And thereafter, I wanted to know what a large company was. I don't know why. I just felt, okay, I know what a small company is. I want to know what a large company. So I went to Lankabel. That actually helped me understand processes, the HR department, and how large companies work. And that really has helped me now because I do appreciate what large companies do, how they operate, because I'm on the other side now as a vendor. And if I never did that, I'd be clueless. So by being in that company for about 2 years, that helped me. And so during that time again, I felt I had to do something on my own. I didn't know what it was. As a pure engineer, we were just having lots of imagination, but not financial planning. I had no clue on that. So it took a while. So we kept on asking people. I mean, everyone who came on a holiday from a foreign country, we used to ask them what's going on. If they were working, we asked them, do you all have problems in that company? Is there something we can do in IT? And then it happened. So this actually is that where we found a Boston company that wanted to set up a SaaS service for portfolio management for stock traders. It wasn't, I mean, now, I mean, we do have ATRAC at IM1 and these are fairly normal now, but at that time, you couldn't even get the information out. Like they would take, I think, 2 weeks to give a portfolio information to someone who's traded. So we did it overnight and this was done in this garage. So it was quite interesting. We felt really important. It did not last though, because there was a dot-com bust. And I got to tell you that when I went to Boston, I mean, my co-founder, his desk was filled with unbanked checks, purchase orders. We just didn't have even time to process it. We were so busy. I mean, these are like in multiple thousands. I mean, we just, as young people, we thought this wouldn't end. This is like a lottery. This is crazy. Then dot-com bust. And those people who gave those checks were not existing. I mean, I wish we cashed a little more. So they went bankrupt just overnight. Like within a month, it was paper. So there I was, in this kind of garage. We had only a couple of months of experience on this, and we had to think of something. So really, it was that failure that dawned A-Trap, which some of you might know, because we had to survive, we had to pivot. So that pivoting actually made us look at Sri Lanka. And at that time, I'm sure you know a company called Capital Trust Securities, Tushan. I had a chat with him. He wanted a trading system. There were no trading systems at the time. We built it. We knew the technology. We knew the terminology, all that because of the Boston work we did. And it just pivoted. So a lot of the time, our lives as entrepreneurs pivot. There's failure, there's success, this and that. But if you don't give up, there's always that next chance. So I believe, again, I mean, it really resonates what Dr. Ray Wijewardene said about this: fix it, accept it. You got to accept it, otherwise you can't fix it. So that's sort of how it went on. And this is the picture of what's in my mind, the way this thing crashed. Like overnight, a call came and said, this is crashing. And there's no money. I mean, these are the kind of words that happen. And so thereafter, we kept on searching. I mean, the ATRAD in Sri Lanka, trading was fairly slow. I mean, it's a lot better now. So I felt I need to have more things. We should try more things. So board pack came after almost like 20 attempts. Like there were so many failures. We've tried everything, lots of things. And then one day a call came from Nations Trust, a technology team, asking me, so Lakini, do you have a solution to send board papers to board members? I mean, I didn't even know they needed that. So obviously, our answer is always yes, we'll figure something. Give me a couple of days. I'll come with some concept. And we sat there with the concept. It looked real, got to say. And the company secretary wanted to know whether he could use it for the board meeting. So I mean, I was in panic mode because this is not real, this is some pictures. So then we negotiated. So Nations Trust used it. I got 1.5 months to build it. So the first board pack is Nations Trust. And the challenge we had really is board meetings are the most confidential, most delicate information that you transfer to these more senior people who are somewhat over 60 years or not teenagers who are very used to gadgets. And they hated going digital. So this was really the challenge. And we had to come up with something easy enough for them to not object. Just a few clicks here and there. This particular solution is what we have now, but that first solution was almost like a blank screen almost. It was so easy. They didn't have to do anything, but literally with their iPads, this concept just took off. So from Bank of Ceylon to all the banks, all the large companies in Sri Lanka, and you've seen the list of customers. And very soon, or not too long from there, we got invited to Malaysia. I mean, I would really call that somewhat of a coincidence. I wasn't looking to go internationally. And we had only like 3, 4 customers at that time, hardly built the product. But I guess the learning is to never say no for that kind of thing, to keep on trying. So the globalization just happened very quickly. Sandeep Das, Group CEO, he was at Sri Lanka Telecom. Sri Lanka Telecom still holds a stake in, sorry, Maxis is the largest telecom in Malaysia. They still hold a stake. And we just flew there. We went over there. It was quite risky because Malaysia is a very advanced country compared to Sri Lanka. And we were quite nervous, but we found that nobody had done it there. We were the first because we had just gone there so quickly. And that really took off. So their large companies opened the door to us. The first company was their stock exchange, their largest banks, and this success just continued. So you'll see India here as well. So we got the courage. We went to India. I mean, originally when I looked at it, I mean, I always thought of India, and I thought, is it risky? I mean, they have so much technology. But then we thought, how can we miss it? I mean, it's like a couple of thousands of good companies, the largest. And if you take the Forbes list, India has so much. How can we miss it? So the High Commission helped us. At that time, the High Commission had people who said, let's try it. And they introduced us to some of the larger, because Sri Lanka and India have good ties, introduced us to some larger companies, especially in government. We actually got them. So BSC, all of them. So India, we are pretty much number one. There's a lot more to do. We are number one in the race right now. So if anyone speeds up, we are at risk. So we are working on that to make sure our speed cannot be caught up. South Africa is another one. So these are some of the countries that we sort of went over to. And of course, at that time, things were going quite well. And Ernst & Young wanted us to take a look. So these are some memorable pictures from a visit to the Entrepreneur of the Year. It's in Monaco, a couple of years ago. Really, really memorable pictures here. And we've actually got attention and the interest of an extremely large firm like Ernst& Young Global, which has 150 countries. So you can imagine the kind of spread that we can do. So these are the kind of things that we manage to accomplish in terms of globalization. Here's a picture of our innovation center. So here, this is where the think tank happens of the product, the engineers. So it's 100% built here in the Colombo Innovation Center. Of course, we are a multinational company. So this is where the technology, engineering happens. But the multinational team that we have expands across multiple countries. And they are South Africans, Indians, Malaysians, etc., US, Australian people. I mean, in terms of the relevance of this global activity, fourth industrial revolution, we have already embarked on several of these technologies such as AI, VR, sustainability. Again, drawing back to Dr. Wijewardene's areas of expertise like sustainability, which is a highly relevant topic today. And if you sort of take, so right now, I think in September itself, they're launching. So whoever's using BoardPack will start getting the ability to use AI and get trained on subjects that they haven't got trained on before in a very easy to like a question and answer sort of way. So these will, I see some board members here, so I know I'm going to get the call. So we will look at that. So there's a lot going on. So all our solutions, we've looked at AI, and of course the ESG component is, if you take India or Sri Lanka, the government or the president says, okay, 2050, 2040, we are going to be carbon neutral. But who does that? It has to be done by these large companies, the banks. So we actually have the privilege of providing information to these experts or these decision makers, and they may or may not quite understand that subject. So the carbon or the sustainability, they may not be putting adequate effort in that company because they are unaware of it. So here we're going to bridge that gap, and that is something that's well accepted by industry as well. So these are some of the things that we are we've started working on. And finally, in terms of the future, starting from the present, we are ranked number 3 in the world in our segment. Yes. And this is, we believe it's a starting point. This particular ranking is purely because of product excellence. So right now, it's so heavy on the product excellence, and now we have to take it to these 150 countries. So it's gone viral to 40. We invested in 6. So you can imagine how excited we are all to get to this full extent and take this product, which is of world-class power. And in fact, just last week, we got the 4th largest market cap bank, HDFC Bank in India, which shows that nothing, I mean, we've got the topmost bank, so there's no question that we can service anyone. The competitor landscape we see that we have to beat is just some US competitors. These two, they're mostly in the US. When they come to India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, they lose to us. So the product excellence is like unbeatable, and we are pretty much getting ready. So this Sri Lankan product, we are on our way, and Professor Malik mentioned about the unicorn. We certainly will lead that. We are working on it. I see my team here smiling. That's one of our goals in the company. And so I'm really proud to say that this product globalization or technical globalization is really important, not just for technologists like us, but for the country, because this is a pillar to get us to a developed nation. It will change the economy. One unicorn means a whole bunch of other unicorns because it's like to see it. So I think Theodore Roosevelt said, if you believe you can, you are halfway there. So on that note, I mean, Dr. Ray is a pragmatic genius. He said everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't matter. You accept and you put it right. I believe this is so relevant to Sri Lanka as a country as we are today. So we look forward, we put it right, and one pillar is global technology. So I leave it with you, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and it has been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for sharing your successful story, the journey with us. We are proud of you as an engineer, as Sri Lankan, as well as a woman. Now, let me invite Professor Vandisana and token of appreciation to Mrs. Lakshmi. Very much. To wind up the session, let me today invite Engineer M.G. Hemachandra, Chairman Agriculture, Chairman of Agriculture and Plantation Engineering Section Committee, to give a word of thanks.
President-elect Professor Ranjit Dissanayake, past presidents, members of the council, Chairman Engineer Dr. Wijewardene Charitable Trust, Professor Malik Ranasinghe, our eminent speaker Ms. Lakshmi Vijayasundara, family members of the late engineer Dr. Wijewardene, CEO Executive Secretary ISL Engineer Neil Abesekar, Deputy CEO Engineer RBM Gunwardene. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a heart full of gratitude as we come to close of this occasion, solemn yet inspiring occasion, the engineer Dr. Wijewardene Memorial Oration at Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka. On behalf of the Agricultural and Plantation Engineering Section Committee of the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka and Engineer Dr. Wijewardene Charitable Trust, I am privileged to extend our heartfelt appreciation to each and every one of you for gracing this event with your presence, both in person and via Zoom. I understand more than 100 engineers, according to my knowledge, joining, engineers and other colleagues joining the Zoom. So your participation has undeniably contributed to the resounding success of today's event. Thank you very much. First and foremost, our sincere appreciation goes out to distinguished speaker, Ms. Lakshmi Vijayasundara, who has shared her valuable insight, knowledge with us today. Your expertise, passion, and dedication to your respective field have enlightened us and will continue to inspire generations to come. Thank you very much, madam. Our gratitude also extends to the family members and friends of Engineer Dr. A. Wijewardene, whose presence today is testament to the enduring legacy of extraordinary individual. We must also acknowledge the invaluable guidance and support provided by Professor Malik Ranasinghe, Chairman of the Trust, whose unwavering commitment has been instrumental in today's success. Dr. Kamal Laksiri, our president, he is not here with us today because he is participating in event in overseas. And Engineer Professor Ranjit Dissanayake, President-elect, ISL, all past presidents, Vice President, Honorary Secretary, Honorary Treasurer, and Council members. You are the main pillars of ISL. Without your support, guidance, and continuous monitoring, this event could have been a success. We also thankful to our media colleagues, especially RTV, Daily Mirror, Sunday Times, Daily FT, Hi Magazine, Lankadeep, who have covered this event, helping us to reach wider audience. Share the knowledge and wisdom imparted during today's oration. Last, actually, but not least, I want to extend our special thanks to CEO ISL, Engineer Neil Abhesekara, and his staff. They work tirelessly behind the scene to make this event success. Your contribution has not gone unnoticed. And we are truly grateful for your dedication and hard work. Thank you once again. In conclusion, the success of today's memorial oration at the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka haven't been possible without the collective effort, dedication, and support of those who are here in person and via Zoom. We leave this event inspired, enlightened, and renewed commitment to uphold the cherished legacy of Engineer Dr. Wijewardene, whose memory we have honored today. Thank you once again for joining us on this meaningful occasion. And please pardon me if I miss any of you during my vote of thanks. Have a pleasant evening and wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.